Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So it's time for a story time. I think we're overdue for a little story time. This one is good, okay? This is talking about picking up trips, okay? Do not be too thirsty to pick up these trips. I know sometimes it sounds good. Once they start putting the triple digits on it, it's questionable, okay? Anytime someone starts to put 100 or more on a trip, you need to ask yourself a couple of questions, okay? You need to do a little more research as to why they are itching to give you a trip for $100, $200, $300, $400, okay? What's going on? It's a red flag, okay? That is a red flag. No one just, imagine someone paying you more to do the job that you have to do. Like what? What's going on here? You have to ask yourself that. The job is only gonna pay me 200, but you're gonna pay me 300 to do it? That should make you think, okay? Before I get into the topic, I do want to thank all of you guys who have subscribed thus far. Welcome to all the new people, and hey, welcome back to all the people that have been subscribed, been a part of this family. You know, I would love to like have a name that starts with a P, of course, but I don't have one. So if you guys can help me with that, if anybody can, if you guys are creative, because I'm not the creative one, you know, it's me. We got Pepper, who has not made an appearance in a minute. He's probably somewhere under the bed asleep, y'all. He loves sleeping like up under the bed and on anything furry. But we gotta have a name. I would love to have a name. If you guys can help me, that would be great. Put it in the comments. Also, make sure you like the video, because I feel like the likes versus the views is definitely not amounting to the subscribers. So I'm just like, come on, y'all. Help me out. Like, what's going on? Click the button, come on now. All right, that's enough. That's enough. Felt like I was begging a little bit. I don't like that. Anyways, story time, picking up trips. Don't be thirsty for picking up trips. Let me tell y'all what happened. So, I had just worked a 4-day, right? And I get an email from my supervisor that says, basically, long story short, and I have to pull it up because I was like, huh? It said we have a 200% trip incentive. We have 2 trips for 200%. This means that instead of getting paid your hourly pay, you will be getting whatever that pay is, 200% of that, okay? So I was like, oh, wait a minute. So I opened up the email. They have 2 trips listed. They're both a trip that would start, you would come home the very next day. So there was one trip that started at 8 p.m. and then you get released the next day at 9 a.m. And then the other one was start at 6 p.m. and then you get released at 4 p.m. the next day. So I was like, I'm looking at it and I'm just like, I think I want to do that trip. However, what kept me from not actually doing the trip is because 200% sounds good, but then you have to really do the math. And the places that it was going, I think one of the trips was going to Boise, Idaho. And I'm just like, I had just came from there, number one. Number two, that's technically only about 2 hours, like 2.5 hours of credit, because you're only getting the flight credit, not the whole day. You only get 200% of the flight credit. So I was just like, that's not worth it. If it was a 4-day and I was getting 200% on a 4-day, that means 20 hours of credit times my hourly pay and 200% of that, then that's worthy. But it wasn't that. It was gonna be about maybe 6 hours at 200%. And I was just like, no, know, like I had already worked a 4-day. It just wasn't, that would have been like doing too much for me. So I was like, I think I'm gonna pass. The other trip, I don't even remember where it was going, but I was just like, I'm good. I'm gonna pass on it. I wanna go home, I wanna rest. And for me, it's like, it's not just me that I had to think about. I have to think about my fur baby. And he already has separation anxiety. He has not gotten used to this like flight attendant life. He sheds a lot when he's stressed. So when I am gone for 3 to 4 days out of the week, I come home to a lot of fur. Not everywhere, but it's just, it is, I know because I am the fur mom, like I know that he's shedding a lot. So I try not to like overwork myself because that means I won't be at home and then he'll be stressed and stuff. So I really try to make use of my off days and actually spend time with my little fur baby. So that's where I'm at with that. And I'm like, that's just a fur baby. I don't know how these other people do it with like husband and kids and like grandparents and all, like having way more responsibilities is what I'm saying. I really don't know how you would juggle this type of job. Like I just have 1 cat. How are you doing this job with humans at home? Like what? I don't know. But anyways, so with that being said, that was the trip that I did not do. 200% sounds good, but didn't do it. Fast forward, I had to go to work and this is like a different day. And I'm with a flight attendant and we were just talking about picking up trips and stuff and things like that. And we ended up talking about this trip that I just told you guys about that we got an email for, because it was an email to everyone that was based in Dallas-Fort Worth. Which that should have been the first red flag. Why are you sending us an email to pick up a trip when we could just look on open time? Like, that should have been the first red flag, but I didn't even think about that till after the fact. Anyways, so old girl tells me that her friend picked up the trip at 200%, the one that our supervisor emailed us. He picked up the trip, it was going to Boise, right? When he went up there, there was actually a winter snowstorm, okay? And they had, I don't know, 6 feet of snow, whatever the case may be. They canceled all the flights. So that was the last flight basically going there. Canceled all the flights. This flight attendant that thought they were gonna come back the next day was stuck in Idaho for 5 days. 5 days. 5 days. Excuse me? And I can only imagine, because if you think you're going somewhere and coming right back, you don't bring food. No one packs for a 5-day when you're coming back the next day. So that flight attendant was SOL for 5 days. And it's like, it's situations like that that made receiving 200% not even worth it, because it's like, I didn't want to be out here for 5 days. I had other plans. Now I have to buy food for 5 days from the money that I was trying to get from working 200%. So I just used that money. You get what I'm saying? So that flight attendant probably spent more money taking that trip than they did earning. And that defeated the whole purpose of trying to work for an incentive. For me personally, I am so glad I did not pick up that trip, because when I tell y'all I would have been upset, I would have been upset to go on a 4-day and then turn around and be gone for 5 days. And then it's not like the flight attendant could have just got on another flight somewhere else. The airport was shut down and all the flights kept canceling. So he literally could not leave Idaho. He was stuck there. And I'm like, that's disgusting. Like, out of all states, Idaho? Don't nobody want to be stuck in Idaho. So I'm just like, I'm so glad I didn't take that. But I say all this to say, listen, there are some things that you need to be aware of before you pick up a trip, okay? First things first, personally, and I've said this before, I'll say it again, I only pick up trips that have money on it. Reason being, the first time I ever picked up a trip, well, it was for like $50. $50 is my minimum. And when I got there, I was there for like 2 hours. They canceled the flight. Was I upset? No, because I already got paid $50. So I got paid for my time. I definitely would have been upset if I just did not get any money on the trip, because then that would have been a whole day wasted. So essentially, when people put money on a trip, I think of that as, you know, get me motivated to get out of bed and do my makeup and get ready and drive to the airport, to get on a shuttle, to go through KCM, to possibly get random, then go through TSA, to walk to the gate, and hopefully they get on time. That's what you're paying me for, to do all of that and then work your shift. Okay, so whatever your price is to do all that, whatever motivates you, inspires you, the incentive, if the price is right, and that if $20 is enough to get you out of bed, get ready, and go to work, then cool. For me, the bidding starts at $50, okay? So always recommend take the trips with money on it first. Next thing, oh, wait a minute. You just liked the video? And you subscribing? Thank you so much. Really appreciate it, you know? I really do. Your hard work does not go unnoticed. Oh, thank you so much. Let's get back to the video. So, with that being said, if you're gonna pick up a trip with an incentive, before you do that, I always reach out to the person, whether it's through email or through text. If they have their phone number listed, I will text them and say, hey, I saw your trip for so-and-so date, for so-and-so amount, because they could always go back and edit their post and say, oh, I was doing it for 100, change it to 25, and then be like, oh no, it was for 25, what are you talking about? So shoot a little text, say, hey, I saw your trip posted for, you know, May 5th for $100. I'd be happy to pick it up. What is the form of payment that you like to use? They typically respond back and they'll tell me what type of payment that they use. And then from there, we'll, you know, I'll say, okay, when I pick it up, I'll let you know, so that you can, you know, send me the money. And they'll be like, okay. And it's always been a smooth transaction, every time. Now, just because it's been good for me doesn't mean that it hasn't been good for other people. Which is why I say that anytime you are picking up a trip with an incentive, not only do you send out a text, but also on the Facebook group, if you're in a Facebook group, or if you have friends who have been a flight attendant for years, go ahead and ask those friends, hey, have you heard anything bad about this person? Are they good at sending money? Have you heard any horror stories? You want to look up in your Facebook group for their name, type their name in, and just verify that there's not any horror stories, you know, back from what, last year, 6 months ago, 3 years ago. Just verify that this person does pay people, because there are people who don't pay people. And you don't want to be one of those people that's like, dang, I should have looked them up first just to make sure. I personally haven't looked up anyone. I normally just shoot them a text, and based on their like sense of urgency with responding back and our like quick conversation, I just kind of get the vibe, okay, they're gonna pay, like whatever. I haven't had somebody just straight up not pay me. Oh, and if that day comes, honey, everybody in the company would know about that, because I don't play with my money. So you don't have to worry about You don't have to worry about not knowing who it is because everybody and their mama would know. But there are people who don't pay. I do know people who don't pay, and they are on my do not pay list, okay? So make friends with other flight attendants so that they can tell you, okay, I don't know about getting a trip from her or him because they don't pay. They're known for not paying. Yes, there are people who are on the do not pay list that will still sit up there and put up a trip and ask people to, and say they'll pay someone. And you know why they do it? Is because they know that there are new reserves and new flight attendants who don't even know them, who are rookies and they know no better. So they're gonna pick up the trip and expect to get money and they're not gonna get paid. So this is why you need to do your research, okay? And if it sounds too good to be true, I think you need to sit it out. If someone is saying 100 and then they're going to 200, 300, no, they're just trying to get it off their schedule, okay? You need to be a little bit wary of that. Like, that's questionable. Like, why are you like adding it up quickly? If they're doing it like by the hour, that's a little sketchy, okay? Another thing that I wanted to point out is you can see the trips either on Facebook or you can see the trips on Open Time. And I used to always wonder why people would put on the comment section, they would put their incentives, but they would also say, oh, I'm dropping trip because it's my grandma's birthday, or it's my friend's wedding, or I have a doctor's appointment. I'm like, why did you put that? Like, we don't care. But now that I've been a flight attendant for a while, I'm able to realize why they're putting their reason why they want to drop the trip, because the reason why someone is dropping the trip is very, very important, okay? Some people will list a trip for $200. They won't put a reason. And they're going to, let's say, Bismarck, Chicago, and Denver, okay? So me, just being naive, not knowing, I pick up the trip for, get the $200, cool. Whole time, there's a winter storm in Denver. There is a winter storm in Chicago, and that 3-day trip now turned into a 10-day trip because we are stuck in these places and the airports are shut down and the flights are canceled. So it is in your best interest to, any trip that you're picking up, check the weather, check for tornado, hailstorm, winter storm, storm, rain, hail, sleet, snow, anything could be going on. And that's why people are dropping the trips. But then, of course, they're not gonna say there's a bad winter storm because they want you to take the trip because it has a lot of money on it. But there are people who are aware, they check the weather of the place that they're going. They're like, oh, there's a winter storm coming up. There's a possibility that I won't be able to come back home the next day. So I'm gonna just go ahead and sell this trip. Makes sense on their part, and find a good rookie who doesn't watch my videos to pick up the trip, and then they're stuck in Idaho for 10 days. So don't let that be you. Check the weather, and don't do it just for, don't check on different locations just for the weather. Check for events too. That's also a big thing. Yeah, there are like plenty of things to look out for, but I want to say weather and events are two like major things that you want to look out for. All right, y'all, those are my tips when it comes to picking up trips with a little bit of incentive and just picking up trips in general, okay? Do your research, really ask yourself, is the money really worth it? What am I getting myself into? Pack extra food. Just be prepared because you may have a rainy day and be stuck somewhere else. Also, I do want to remind you guys that I do have my consultation services where we can talk about all things flight attendant life versus training, interview, study tips, anything you name it. We can talk about that on a one-on-one. I'm gonna be very clear and concise like I am in my videos. So if you have questions, definitely write them down. line them up, and you can email me at pristinepores@gmail.com, and we can set up a consultation and get those questions answered and get you ready and prepared for your flight attendant life. So let's get prepared for flight attendant life. Book your consultations. I will have more information down below in the comments, but feel free to email me at pristinepores@gmail.com. I hope you guys liked the content. Subscribe if you haven't done so, and like the video. Yeah, I'm gonna go and enjoy the rest of my day that I still have. Hope you guys have a great, productive day, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.